What if the secret to mastering any skill lies not in studying, but in simply starting? Today's episode, a Congolese proverb, is more than just a saying, it is a timeless reminder. Join us on the Knowledge Gumbo podcast, where we mix together timeless wisdom, thought provoking stories using quotes, sayings, proverbs, and book passages, primarily by Black women. I'm your curious minded host, Alicia Thomas. Let's get into today's quote. You learn how to cut down trees by cutting them down. Once again, you learn how to cut down trees by cutting them down. In the Congo region, which is home to the Bantu speaking people, it has a rich history of craftsmanship, of resourcefulness, often teaching, skills such as farming, hunting, wood cutting, and they use an apprenticeship model rather than a formal instruction, hence the quote. And I think we've gotten away from that as far as, I want to say, even as a country, where you used to have an apprenticeship with someone more experienced, with a master craftsman, whatever the topic was or whatever the skill was, whether it was plumbing, whether it was electrical. I mean, even teaching had a level. They just didn't throw you in a classroom by yourself. And I think we need to get back to that and we have to have the humility to be able to sit under someone and to learn. But as we get older, we tend to think we know everything and there's nothing left to learn. But as long as you're alive, there's always something more to learn. There's something more to do. There's something more to give. And in order to get to where we want to go, to get those trees down and to learn how to do it, to see, if I cut it here, it's going to fall this way. If I cut it there and I'm not careful, it can smash me. We have to take a step by step approach and be willing to humble ourselves to learn, whether it's from someone older than us or someone younger than us. All that matters is that they've put in, as they say, the 10,000 hours to master a certain skill or area of expertise. And we can step in and learn from them. And maybe in their learning, they can get us there faster than us having to do the obligatory 10,000 hours. And the other thing about this quote is just it teaches us to value learning through doing versus just theory, versus something we just think we know versus what we actually know because we've actually done it. I mean, when you look at it from a standpoint, I know in David Goggins' book, he talks about having a cookie jar of which is his metaphor for having all the things that you've done and completed and were successful at, and you put it in this cookie jar so that when you're doubting yourself, when you're operating in theory versus action, you can remind yourself of how far you've come, of all the things that you've done great, all the things that you were able to accomplish because you put in the work. And in putting in the work, you prove the theory or you disprove the theory, but at least there is action. There is a forward moving going on. This proverb also reflects an emphasis on communal learning um, because that is how in the Congo culture, elders play an important role. And that's why I say for those of us who are older and know, we have to be willing to teach. And it has to be, even in our teaching, there has to be some humility. Um, We can't be super critical for someone to get something that we've already mastered quickly if that's not in their wheelhouse, if that's not how they learn. That's the one thing I learned being a tutor as well as being a mentor, that every person is different and you have to meet them where they are and how they learn and how they absorb material. And when you do that, you make yourself a better person. You make yourself a better teacher. And it's better than one thing I really despise is when you have older people sitting around cackling or gossiping about someone, but they're not going out and helping that person. They're not giving them the benefit of their advice. Now, don't get me wrong, I know in a lot of instances, some people don't want your advice, but are you offering that advice in love, or are you offering that advice in that you think you're superior to them? Because delivery is also important in how we do things. Are we coming to this person with love, wanting to help guide them, help them to be a better person? Because every time you teach something, it reinforces it inside of you. And every time you teach something, you might see something in a different way than you've seen it previously. So both sides get something from the exchange. But like I said as well, we have to be able to humble ourselves and be able to learn from different people who might be younger than us, that they've mastered some things that we haven't, and have the humility to be able to go to them and learn as well. And just make it an exchange. Everything doesn't have to be poured on in the sense that you owe me. No, I was given the gift of this knowledge. So now I'm going to gift it to someone else. It's all a reoccurring cycle, so that perpetuates culture, perpetuates lessons learned going year after year, so that you don't have to, or we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can make the wheel better. And I think that's one thing we have to hold on to, especially as a culture, because a lot of what we've done hasn't been documented. A lot of things that we've done have been stolen and co opted by other people. So, in essence, every generation, we are reinventing the wheel instead of maximizing the wheel and making it better. Let's look at this week's challenge. Think of one mistake you've made that caused you to give up. What was the lesson you missed? I think that challenge really just says it all for itself. When we stop, when we don't go any further, when something is hard and we don't put in the work to master whatever that skill is, whatever that we're trying to get done, we've missed a lesson. We've missed an opportunity to grow. And so we need to go back and say, hey, what lesson was there? Or go back and finish what we started so that we can get to the lesson. Because really, in a lot of ways, when you think about it, the lesson that you missed is that I can accomplish hard things. Hard things are not beyond me. So I think that that's one of the greatest lessons that we can encounter, is that we can do hard things. But we won't know that until we put it into practice. This podcast is recorded audio and video by Ecamm. Ecamm helps you show up organized and structured for your meetings, podcasts, live streams, and for offline recordings like this podcast. To find out more about Ecamm Live, click the link in the description. Thank you for spending time in our gumbo kitchen. Please leave a positive 5-star review on your audio platforms. Like and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, please. Our stories and voices matter. You are always welcome here. Bring a friend because there's always room for more at the table. The gumbo is hot and made with love. And we will. See you next week.
Gather round, y'all. It's time to groove.